Lovely. So just rubbing your hands together. Tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. One shoulder, just keep a nice steady rhythm, quite light, of course. You don't want to use it to bruise yourself. Circulation going a little bit on the side. And then on the upper part of your chest. Your belly. Sit back in the chair, feet out, so you're in this reclining deck chair type position. Let me just make it a little bit lighter. Sinking into the chair, sinking back into the chair and down into the chair. Take a few moments to settle in. As you settle down, just feel how your body's responding to that sense of resting. Any changes in your breathing or maybe a sense of circulation. But mostly just this sinking in, and with that a quietening, a settling of your thoughts, of your attention. Maybe just try resting your hands on your belly, feeling the very gentle rise and fall underneath your hands as you breathe in and out. If you can't feel any movement there, try a little bit higher up. Okay, now bring your feet in, come back to the upright position. I'm going to be forwards on the chair at the moment. I may change that later. If I find that my back begins to stiffen up, for instance, I will sit back so the lower part of my back is just supported. I'm trying to look for that same sense of settling, your hips sinking into the chair, and your rib cage dropping down, followed by your shoulders dropping down, giving you this denser, stronger feeling in legs, hips and back, supporting the front of your body. Again, that feeling of your tension just gently coming into your body. With it, that calmer, more relaxed feeling. And then just slowly beginning to turn your head. Remembering that we always want to leave just a little bit of space at the end of the movement, as though you could have moved just a little bit further. Not stretching. But rather encouraging this feeling of movement, of circulation, fluidity within the body. And particularly in those areas that do feel a bit blocked, a bit stiff. Maybe those areas that are a bit painful, but as always, be careful. Remember, pain could be telling you that you're doing something wrong, or maybe moving too far, or twisting your back up, or something like that. but always check those things. Hands in front of your shoulders. Small circles around with your elbows. Going forwards. Notice how different exercises begin to make you aware of your body in different ways, different planes of pathways of movement, different parts of your body connecting, hands out to your sides. Rotating from your shoulders, not just in your wrists, as much as possible. In movement, corresponding to that in your chest, in your upper back. And then as though you're winding up thread or wool, string, some kind. Again, try as much as you can to get the rotation into your shoulder joint. But nothing should be forced. Back the other way. Everything is done to encourage, to cultivate the movement. Create the environment within which the movement can take place with this smooth, fluid quality. Hands resting down, easing forwards. Remembering that idea of the punctuation, that little kind of settling in period where so much can happen. Just identifying that at the end of each weight transfer. But that environment that we cultivate, that we develop for the movements, relies on the rooting down, our posture, on a quieter attention, in the way that we move, always trying to move my feet, our hips from the center of the body, letting the upper body follow. Not moving too far. And if you can, then just using one of these images like moving through water, as though the air around you is thicker than normal. Turn a little bit. And then in the other direction, feeling the movement, the rocking movement in your pelvis. Trying to use your legs to push yourself back up, as well as that feeling of a pull in from your hips. So as much as possible, coming upright without adding to the strain, the stiffness in the upper part of your body. And then around. So your pelvis is rolling around. It's a bit like a ball. It's rolling around in a hollow on the ground. Back the other way. Good. And then one here up, step out. measure the step. At this point, knees still a little bit bent. Also, if you can, just that little bit of a gentle press into the floor, like you're stepping onto soft sand. On the other side. Okay, now work a little bit forwards, maybe 50-50, maybe as much as 60% in your legs, arms hanging down from your shoulders. Transferring your weight back, rotating your arms. As bird folds its wings. Again, the rotation in your arms is from your shoulders. Your hands stay hanging down straight out from your shoulders, not moving forwards or backwards at this point. Just done by the transfer of your weight. But then this time, leave your hands facing back. As you settle into your back foot, they can just swing past your hips a little bit. As you go forward, you're pulling them through, pushing and casting down. Your arms following your shoulders for most of the exercise. And for this next one also, rolling the ball in. Your arms are pulled over, elbows drop, hands drop all the way down, don't rush. I'm into position. So we want to keep the movement going, but we don't want to cut corners. We just wait here, no hurry, for the hands to arrive at their starting position. Again, then change your hands. Just angled out from your shoulders, you come back as though you're holding the ball and the ball just expands and then contracts. This is pigeon, spreads its wings. Again, just aware, feeling moving through water, or as though the ball really was there. And it was just, as you go forwards, just squeezing in with your arms and your chest. That slightly stronger feel. One more time. And then pushing away, hands coming back, wrist dropping down, pressing as much as you can through the palms of your hands. Get your hands into position here, move forwards, let the feeling of the push your arms forwards and they'll just naturally swing up. Good, and then a loose fist, hollow fist. Arms go straight out. And again, you rotate in your shoulder joint as much as you can. If you can't get the hands right round like this, don't strain for it. It's fine to be here. So just again, whatever range of movement in that rotation is comfortable for you. It can be a very strong rotation in the shoulders, especially if you've got a bit of tension there, which is quite common. And then open your hands. One more time. Coming back, and then as your hands come in, rotate again, turn them palm down. So they rest on the table, it's polishing the table. Or if you prefer rolling the ball, change direction. Don't overextend. As you push out, notice that my elbows are still quite bent. I'm not just thrusting my arms out, just easing forwards, feeling of my hips dropping back as I go forwards. One more time. Now, bring your hands in, come to the upright position, 2/3 of your weight back in your hips. A gentle press down through feet and hips creates an upward movement and then sinking down. So you may feel up through your back a kind of lengthening, very gentle, and then a contraction downwards. Feeling almost like somebody was very gently massaging your back. Now change to the wide goose. A bit broader across your chest. Elbows hanging down. The image, if it helps, of the bird in flight. And then parting the clouds, going forwards just a little bit. So your hands can pass in front of your knees, sit back and push up. Notice how my elbows lead my wrists lead my fingers. I'm thinking more about pulling your hands rather than lifting them. Going back now to the first of these exercises into a little 3-part sequence, taking your time. Again, remembering that slight pause, punctuation point, transition from one movement to another. With each stage of the movement, just rises up through the body, a feeling of expansion rises up through your body. A little bit more each time, but never packed. At the end of parting the clouds, go back to the first of these. If it works for you with the breathing, you don't have to do this, but if you're comfortable thinking about your breathing, when you do this stage, part the cloud stage, just see how it feels to take a breath in. Don't expect that the in-breath is necessarily going to last the whole of the length of the exercise. It doesn't necessarily. Just a way to notice how movement and breath, posture all begin to link in together. The pushing up, the opening of your arms helps your body to expand. The posture with rooting down helps to keep the tightness, the stiffness away from the upper body. If you're doing that with the breath, then your out breath just comes when it wants to. You're not trying to block it or lengthen the in breath or anything. It may or may not match the entire length of this stage of the exercise. If it doesn't, just keep breathing. Now, dragon plucks the stars from the sky. Again, just waiting until your hand has finished the movement before you switch your attention to the opposite side. So a steady, unhurried feel to the movement. Not forcing the movement in any way. Where the sensation, flicking the sides, the side of each side of your back. Do one more on each side. And then pushing it in 2 directions. First direction being up. Don't force your hands up. It doesn't matter, they don't reach quite above your head. Pushing out, remembering that your hands stay very slightly in front of your shoulders, not pulled behind in either direction. Feel as though you're moving through water, as though there's an elastic band held in your hands, and you're just pulling it apart, letting it come back together very slowly. One more round. Push your hands out, and this time extend one foot, rest it on the heel again, knee just a little bit bent, Turn your hands forward, ease forwards, scooping the sea, and then feeling your hips drop back, the shoulders following, elbows following your shoulders, wrists and fingers following your elbows, and over and then down. So you're going to scoop water up in your arms. Just be very, very careful of your back, particularly when you come back. Try and look for that feeling of your hips dropping back, pulling your shoulders upright, so not straining to come to the upright position. You may find you get a very gentle sort of half stretch in your back, in the back of your legs. This one. And then hands fisted, grasping the tiger's ear. This feels like more of a gentle push from the hips. Or if you prefer, as you sink back, like you're in a very bouncy chair, a springy chair, you sink down into it, and then it starts to push you up. And it's that movement, that energy that comes from the push up that will come up through your back and move your arms. Change sides. Scoop the sea, looking at the sky. Good. And then grasping the tiger's ears. Remember, don't clench your fingers tightly. Just notice whether you've done that habitually. It's very easy to do. And then just come back and sit again for a few moments. So your hips sinking down, tilting forward so there's a little bit of weight in your feet. Again, if you can't feel the weight in your feet, just raise your heels for a few moments. You'll feel a downward pressure in the balls of your feet. And then don't leave your heels up, lower them down. And settle into the ground. But try and keep that stronger feeling in your legs. And then just moving your weight forwards and backwards again. And this time, add in the turn as you go forward. So you turn, say, to your left, moving my movements, coming back diagonally across, and then over to your left hip, and same thing on the other side. So the weight change, the pattern of the weight transfer that we use with Part the Wild Horse's Mane. And this time with your hands, so holding the ball, right hand on top, Part in the Wild Horse's Mane. movement outwards and a little bit upwards. So see if you can just imagine doing this in water. Try not to lose an awareness of that movement of your weight, transfer of your weight, from one hip to another, from one foot to another, from one hip to one foot. One more on each side. Lower your hands down. And then just moving your weight a little bit on one side, pushing forwards and turning the opposite way this time. So a little bit of a circling movement with my shoulder. Like somebody was just very gently massaging your shoulder. Nice and easy. On the other side. And then we're going to alternate from side to side. So right shoulder as you go forwards, turning to your left, coming back to the center, and then the left shoulder as you turn to the right, going to your left foot. Hands down by your sides, following the movement, hands are palm down as they press down. They're like the bear's paw. It's a nice combination of a slightly more sort of softer exercise in some ways, a bit more forgiving in the alignment of feet and hips. So we get this nice dynamic of the movement, and yet at the same time, quite a strong movement. You know, this image of the bear in the woods. Then overextend your arm to come down round about level with your knee, not right out here somewhere. And just remind yourself of those spaces, those punctuation points. Do one more on each side. And then just let your hands rest. Once again, just sit in this posture, a couple of slow, gentle breaths. Once again, rubbing your hands together. Tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. shoulder, arm. Other side. Going to be quite a vigorous exercise when we do it. Before we stand, past your chest. In your belly. And then your legs. And then just pumping your legs up and down. As always, those tapping exercises, and indeed this sort of thing, very useful, you know, before you get up in the morning. You've been sitting for a while, especially as the chillier weather comes on, and our circulation is maybe a bit sluggish, especially just woken up in the morning and then going around. Helps if you can just prepare yourself to be active in the same way that you might use a warm-up sequence to get ready to exercise or play a sport. Go back the other way. Good. And now, just coming to standing. Helps you, know, you can keep the chair there and have it close by. Even if you're not using it for the whole time, it can always be useful. Remember that what we're looking to be able to do in the standing exercises, especially when we're going to take a step, the basic change that we make is that rather than stiffening up like this, we're trying to sink down. But in that sinking down, we have to try and relax. And relaxing is quite difficult if you feel a bit unsteady. So, you know, having say the wall there, especially if you do get that little bit of a wobble. So if I'm here, I just want to do this. Because it's quite difficult. If the wall wasn't there, I'm a bit, oh, I might fall over. It's more difficult to do. So to understand how we do it and to feel the effect of doing it, having the wall there, having the chair there is quite useful because you can just put your hand out, got the wall, you think, well, okay, what happens if I relax? You know, you've got the chair. You think, oh, actually, it does work. I do feel more solid. When you've got to that point, it's going to be easier, more likely. Not easy is the wrong word. It's going to be more likely that if you are walking around your house, you have a little trip, or you're walking down the road, stumble a bit, that becomes your kind of security, I suppose you could call it there. So feet hip width apart, weight a little bit forwards, hips dropping down, and just a little bit further, bringing your hands around, pushing up, and sinking. And from here, what we'll do it as a sequence going into the wild goose, and just recognizing those punctuation points so we don't feel that we have to rush, or when we feel that we're beginning to rush, we know that here and possibly here, maybe not there, we can just take that moment, which is all it really takes to break the cycle of rushing. Feeling as we go from one movement to another, the movement up through your body, the expansion through your body. So again, if it helps you, then round about here, to see how the in-breath feels. Do one more round. Good. Now, dragon plucks the stars from the sky. Don't normally bother with this one standing, but it's a good standing exercise. And if you do it standing, one thing you can think about here is just in terms of image. I imagine I'm standing on an elastic band, one end on underneath my foot. I'm slowly drawing the elastic band up and then trying to get it to contract slowly. And so it's possible to feel that extension right from the sole of your foot up into your fingertips through one side of your body. One more round. Good. Now, turn one foot out, step forwards. As much as possible, facing straight ahead. Transferring your weight, settling in. If you are at a slight angle, you try and correct that and it feels like it's twisting either your legs, your knees, and or your back, then just leave yourself at that slight angle. Just have in mind that over a period of time, you want to get to a point where you are comfortable facing straight ahead. Feeling the movement on the ground, from your feet. And then as you settle into your back foot, you feel that draining away in your hips. You raise your toes, it's a bit stronger in the back leg. Front foot can be turned slightly out now. Knee comes forwards, sinking down in the front leg. And stepping in. On the other side, transferring your weight. Raising your toes and your heel. and then stepping in. And step through. And in the other direction. Shake out. Have your right foot forwards. Let's go into fisherman castanet. As always, again, that image of moving through water. Don't try and push your hands out. So the momentum that builds from the transfer of your weight, linking up with these movements in your chest and your upper back. But also have an idea, an intent to just reach out a little bit. You effectively get a bigger range of movement, not by straining, but by softening. Like, again, you're looking for that elasticity in your body. You think about an elastic band. If it's stiff and hard, it won't stretch out so far as if it's soft and elastic. So now change into pushing wave. And then let both hands drop down and turn. An expansion through that left side of your body, down into the front leg and turn. Good, and bring your feet down. Give your legs a shake. Okay, have your other foot forwards and starting the game with fisherman castanet. particularly at this stage, when you get to this point, you really want to try and feel that your arm is quite heavy, because your arm is quite heavy. But what we often do is we sort of stiffen up in our shoulders and we don't really appreciate the full weight of our arm. And then pushing wave. And then the figure of 8, the infinity sign. Good. And this time, bring the rear foot in and step. And the foot in, raise it up if it's comfortable for you. The way to do that, as I said before, bring the foot in, raise your knee, and then step out. So from this position, you can make a choice, change direction. I'm just saying forwards and backwards, but you could go in lots of different directions with this one. You don't even have to step forward or backwards or sideways. You can go sideways here in one direction and just raise, bring the foot in and or raise the knee, and then step across, go back the other way, come in, raise. And this is quite a good one. If you are feeling that kind of you want the wall behind you, you want that little bit of extra kind of security, then you'll be right back at the wall. You can be in front of the wall. You can just be going from side to side here. You don't have to be going away from the wall. This means if you get to here and say, oh, you're not that, you just sit back on the wall. That's fine. It's important that we do this safely, of course. It's also important that we feel that we can build on what we can do. As I've said many times, I don't think standing on one leg is necessarily sort of all it's cracked up to be. But obviously, if you can do this, then it says something about your stability. If you do this and it's like that, it doesn't mean that you failed because you got this far. Okay, and then just shake out. So it's important to remember, just keeping that theme, as it were, that when we walk, just around, just, you know, to walk through our house or whatever, we're sort of doing this. It's more or less a controlled fall. We don't walk around like this. Well, it's not very often. So it is quite difficult, the stepping, and it's unusual, and so don't see that the only benefit of it is if you can lift your leg up and be very, very stable on one leg. With a lot of these things in Tai Chi, it's the process that is important, because in the end it has to be a very practical art. Tai Chi was originally a martial art, and one of the things that we learn is that the transition from, if you like, theory to practice, from laboratory to everyday life, always means that how we do things in the solo exercises, whether it be the ones that we do here or in the sequences, if we were going to look at what we call the martial applications, they never work in exactly the way that they do in theory. Life's not like that. So sometimes where you know, we have to change the step in, change what we do, but we do it from an understanding of the principles. So it's the principles that we're really learning about, not how to stand on one leg. So coming back to settling down, letting your arms drop down, again, feeling the weight of your arms, embrace tiger, return to the mountain. Recalling perhaps this feeling of settling in whatever way you're experiencing it, through the image of the mountain, the sensations in your body. Reminding yourself of that at the end of the session. Come around. And rest. And just open your eyes. Thank you very much, everybody. It always goes so quickly, doesn't it? Good luck with your work and everything.